Yasher koach. Well done. Beautifully, beautifully done. Both of these young people have shared their words of Torah with us, and I'm just incredibly inspired and incredibly impressed and moved by what you've done here today. Tyler, you challenged a part of our text that felt immoral to you, in which a person was negatively labeled as different, and you drew our attention to people who are differently abled in a wise and compassionate teaching. And Sadie, you found a legal minutia regarding how to eat a sacrifice and cracked it open like a Torah egg, finding something inside that speaks to how to be present to the things that matter to us most. You both pushed on our tradition until it made sense to you in a truly meaningful way. Yasher koach to you both. It's just what we have to do. Thank you for guiding us this morning. Tyler, your Devar Torah powerfully lays the groundwork for what I want to talk about today, and Sadie, yours will brilliantly give us the conclusion to it in just a few moments. So Tyler, you called out the idea that a person whose body is different is deemed not appropriate or kasher, fit, to serve as a priest. You said that actually there is not one normal way to be, but rather that every one of us is different in some way. There is, in fact, a serious problem when one type of person is considered normal or right, and then all others are compared to that archetype of a human being. That can happen with ability, and also in white supremacy, when whiteness is considered the norm. It can happen in heterosexuality, when straightness is considered the norm, and in other places, such that if you're not part of that majority, you might be considered by some not right, or abnormal, or even aberrant. And there are often consequences to not being considered normal, the standard. Today in our country, this manifests as racism, anti-Semitism, homophobia, and more. And right now, one group of people who are feeling this particularly hard is transgender folks, specifically trans kids and non-binary individuals. In this case, what's being considered the norm is a person who identifies either as male or female and was born into that identity. And the consequences for differing from that supposed norm are growing. There are currently bills in many different states being proposed and passed that make it less safe for our transgender or non-binary family. These bills can make it illegal to change your gender on your passport. They can make it illegal to dress in drag, which is an art form of gender expression. They can require a trans person to use bathrooms or locker rooms of the sex that they were assigned at birth. They can also restrict or ban medical care, and they can label as child abuse a parent supporting their child's authentic gender expression. Each of these laws can be constricting, dangerous, and destructive. Now, there are lots of political layers as to why some may want to target trans folks or drag shows or queer people in general. But beyond all of the political machinations lies a truth. Being trans or gender nonconforming is simply what some folks are. There isn't a normal way of being cisgendered, and then others who are just broken versions of that standard. And a follow-up truth. When a person is told that they can't be who they are, or that who they are is not normal or deserving of love, it can be crushing. Trans and non-binary kids are in greatest physical danger when they are not shown love and acceptance, which makes attempts to pass legislation that causes them harm inexcusable. Some parents are fleeing. Miami Heat legend Dwayne Wade moved his family out of Florida in 2021, and when he was asked why, he said that because of the new anti-trans laws in Florida, it's simply not safe for his transgender daughter to live there. Some are staying. Rabbi Daniel Bogard, a rabbi in Missouri, spends countless hours at the State House opposing bills that will hurt his transgender 9-year-old son. Earlier this week, he was quoted saying, "What I'm really scared of is the government coming to my door to take my child away for following the best advice of doctors and therapists and professionals." Now, maybe some folks who are working to pass these laws have good intentions. I don't know. But I do know that there are cynical fabrications driving the conversation. For example, a House of Representative in Tennessee working on a bill to limit gender to only male and female said this week, "It's only been within the last 2 minutes of human history that anyone has doubted that there are only two sexes, male or female." I mean, if it's just a trendy woke thing. But the thing is, that statement is 100% completely untrue. For the last at least 2,000 years, Jewish tradition has had a much more expansive understanding of gender. The Talmud, so not some obscure scroll, but the Talmud, recognizes no fewer than 6 genders: Zachar, male; Nekeva, female; androgynos, a person who has both male and female sexual characteristics; a tumtum, a person whose sexual characteristics are obscured; an Ilonit, a person who's identified as female at birth but develops male characteristics at puberty; and a saris, a person identified as male at birth and develops female characteristics at puberty. And there are robust discussions about what each gender is obligated or permitted to do. Who can say Kiddush over the wine and have it count for the men who are present? Who can inherit land? Can an androgynous get married? To whom? Who can eat of the sacrificial meat from the temple? And you know what's totally amazing about all of these questions? Nothing. These questions are rabbinic bread and butter. The rabbis at this time lived by a certain set of laws, and so they needed to know, in their context, who can do what. And these are the people who lived in their neighborhood. We may just now be gaining a fuller breadth of understanding of gender, but the concept of a gender spectrum was not invented in 2016. You don't make laws about people who don't exist. The Talmud and the tradition that flows from it, they're not stuck in a gender binary, not even from the very beginning. See, when God creates Adam, the first human being in the Torah, it says God created them, man and woman, God created him or it in the singular. In the Midrash, Bereshit Rabbah, Rabbi Yirmiyahu ben Elazar explains that this means that God created Adam, one being, as an androgynos, one being that is both male and female. And that being, as we know, is then called B'Tselem Elohim, created in the image of God. If there were any archetype to be had, perhaps it is more fluid than the story that's told today. I wonder if there are some here, CBE family, for whom hearing all of this feels hard. Maybe because you or your child are trans or non-binary and you worry about these laws. Or maybe it feels hard because your child is trans or non-binary and you love them more than anything, and also you have feelings about it that you're not sure what to do with yet. Or maybe this feels hard because some of this language is brand new to you and you have questions. All of that is okay. And I want to invite you, if you're an adult or if you are a kid or a young adult, to come talk to any of our clergy, any of us, and you will find a space of support and listening and love and no judgment. Even as there is great work to be done out there, We are so blessed to be part of a community and a tradition that gives each of us the space to be our whole self always. In fact, it is a central part of our story as a people. Earlier, Sadie, you taught us that to avoid mindlessness, the priest would recall a particular moment in our people's story, a central moment. To stay present and alive and to act with meaning, what was the moment that he would go back to? The night we left Mitzrayim. Mitzrayim, the land whose name means narrowness. That night, packed and ready to go, the oppression that we escaped was physical and spiritual narrowness, a constriction that bounds us up in a myopic life, and we ran towards its opposite, expansive life, expansive opportunities, expansive thought, because we needed room to be and to breathe. Expansiveness is apparently akin to our freedom and critical for our redemption. So we pray for all of those who are feeling threatened by the narrowness of harmful laws. We pray for your victory in overcoming them. For all of those basking in your own expansiveness with joy, we celebrate with you. And for all of those in struggle, we pray that you know that you are not alone. Shabbat shalom.